Annunciation Radio presents Faith Alive, highlighting the many ways Catholic Charities here in the Diocese of Toledo provides love and support for those in need. And now, your host for Faith Alive, Executive Director of Catholic Charities in Toledo, Rodney Schuster.
Hello and welcome to Faith Alive, the program that shares how the love of Jesus Christ is provided through the ministries of Catholic Charities throughout the Diocese of Toledo. I'm your host, Rodney Schuster, Executive Director for Catholic Charities, and today we have a frequent guest, Deacon Irelan, who heads up our jail and prison ministry for Catholic Charities in our diocese, and we're going to be talking to him about a couple things. One, we're going to talk about, the Christmas holidays and how special it is for family, for friends, and even for Catholic Charities. I mean, it's an opportunity in all of our ministries at Catholic Charities where volunteers come to, serve meals, to bring gifts, to help support our work. Also financially, we get support for that time of year to help us throughout the year. And it's just, one of those things as we celebrate the birth of Christ, it's a great gift to our ministries. Well, our jail and prison ministry is no different. During the Christmas time, they have people reaching out to our jail and prison ministry because they want to help, those who sometimes are forgotten. So to kind of give us an update on what we do in the Christmas time and how we're blessed, as I mentioned, our guest, Deacon Irelan. Deacon Ed, welcome back to Faith Alive.
Thank you, Rodney. Happy New Year's to you.
Yes. And it's, it's funny. Sometimes they say, well, how long should you say Happy New Year's? And I'm like, well, I don't know, at least for January. It's like, hey, Happy New Year. Hope you're having a good New Year so far. Hope you have a great New Year. So that's my message to all of you out there. I hope you're having a great New Year thus far, and it's blessed throughout the rest of the New Year, especially with good health for your family and friends. So, Deacon Ed, kind of rewind a little bit, share about some of the activities that happened for the jail and prison ministry during the Christmas season, because two things, Deacon Ed. I want everybody to know how blessed we are and thank all those kind people that have helped us, but then maybe you're saying, gosh, can I help throughout the year? Can I help next Christmas season? So you might have some ideas and say, I never knew there's an opportunity. So why don't you give us a kind of a debrief on all the help that we received during this past Christmas season?
It was an exceptional Christmas season as far as the prisoners in our different state institutions and county jails are concerned. Thanks to the generosity and the of volunteers from St. Rose, especially their 7th and 8th grade classes, and to the students at St. Joe's Sylvania's, the Right to Life ministry at St. Joe's Sylvania, and to a couple of other groups like the Pasta Bake Women from St. Joe's Maumee. Thanks to all these different groups, we were able to gather and pass out over 2,000 Christmas cards, which means so much to these prisoners, especially the ones that get nothing during the rest of the year. We even had a letter from one of them that says, we post those cards on our walls and they stay there for the whole year. So a big thank you to all the students especially and the adults that wrote those cards and letters that we were able to distribute to the inmates. It means so much to them. Also, St. Rose, the Pasta Bake group from St. Joe's Maumee, and a couple of other smaller groups, we were able to collect and distribute over 120 dozen cookies, Christmas cookies. So that was
just a quick question on that, Deacon Ed. So those Christmas cookies, like, were you able to take into the prisons and actually serve them?
We were able to take them in. We couldn't always serve them. Sometimes the chaplains would be the ones doing the serving.
Yeah.
And we have special rules we have to follow.
Right.
They have to be bagged, only 6 in the bag. They only want sugar cookies that are decorated.
Okay.
So there are specific guidelines we have to follow. But boy, those are really appreciated.
That is
also.
so awesome, because I think sometimes people wouldn't realize that that's an opportunity. And again, I have memories of, people who are well-intentioned and very kind-hearted. If you want to do an activity like that, please, 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 first reach out to Deacon Ed, because as he just mentioned, there are some requirements that have to be met, some restrictions, and we wouldn't want anybody to put forth a whole ton of effort, and then Deacon Ed said, I'm sorry, I can't even take him in to the jail or prison. So that is great. So you got cookies, you got cards, and then for the cards, how do those get distributed, Deacon Ed? Are they personalized? Because I know we have to be really careful with boundaries. How does that work?
Yeah, we can't put names, specific names, and they can't leave their name. They can't sign their name. But the cards are very inspirational. A lot of times they'll have quotes from Scripture that means a lot to the sender, and that also when they receive those cards, it means a lot to the people receiving them. There are specific guidelines also for cards, so I agree with you, Rodney. Please call me. Anything like that is welcome, as long as we follow the guidelines of the state institutions.
Right, because I know that I've been there, but I've had to have like kind of special permission just to attend some things. You really have to go through protocol, because we have to make sure everybody's safe, and so that is really cool. Now the Christmas cards, share with me a little bit, Deacon Ed. So how are those distributed, and then how do you hear feedback? Just logistically, how does that work?
Well, it's a little bit different in each prison, but in Toledo, for instance, we have they tell us how many cards we can bring in, and so we took in over 400 this year to Toledo, and then they distribute it during their mail call, and then they they pick someone as a representative of the prisoners to respond.
Wow.
So that's how they do it.
That is so cool. You're listening to Faith Alive, and our guest is Deacon Ed Irelan, and we're talking about some of the really cool Christmas activities that happen for those who are incarcerated throughout our diocese, and Deacon Ed is sharing, some of the engagement just locally, even, St. Joe, Sylvania, St. Joe's Maumee, St. Rose, and just what a beautiful gift it is with Christmas cards, cookies. Now, Deacon Ed, you mentioned pasta bakes. Pasta bakes, are they able to go into jail prisons, or is that something separate?
We have a group of men that deliver food to returning citizens every week, every Monday.
Yeah.
And so they also had cards for those people, and we received hams for those people also.
Wow.
And so they, those, and Knights of Columbus collects gift cards for those returning citizens, and so they were able to get extra food, hams and turkeys and gift cards and cookies. So they had a really nice Christmas. People are so generous, and they don't blow their own horn, so to speak.
Yeah.
They want to do that because it's a godly thing to do, as we're called to take care of the poor. But people need to realize the generosity of the people that are out there and they're willing to help the less fortunate.
Yeah, and I think, Deacon Ed, one of the things that really strikes me is, those who are released, from incarceration, many times they're coming, back, and they're isolated, they're alone. Any family relationships sometimes are broken, and they're not reunited, and so they're trying to start for themselves. And what we don't want, just as Jesus does with us through the sacrament of reconciliation, is we don't want people to lose hope or to fall into despair. And we know our God is so merciful and is willing to forgive. And so when people come out, we want to make sure that they know that they're loved, that they know they're cared for by people, by having pasta bakes, by doing things like that, and say, hey, we're with you. We're going to help you in this journey, because all of us, are thankful for, a forgiving and merciful God, and you should be too. And, we want to help get you to a point where you feel like, all right, I made a mistake, no problem. Let's move forward, and I want to start anew.
I agree. We the good thing about delivering food to them is that we stay in contact with them. We affirm their dignity as human beings. We let them know that they are not forgotten, that they are cared for, and that people are out there praying for them and wanting to help them. The other thing that we've been able to start doing during the past year is we're doing a lot more mentoring. We have several volunteer mentors that visit these people on a monthly basis, and we're finding that the mentoring process, just walking with them and giving them an outlet for someone to listen to them and talk to them and help them know about community assets, is really helping a lot of these people to grow, and they're able to start to process and move toward normalcy, become normal citizens again.
Well, and you can imagine if you have not been exposed to our culture for a number of years, 10, 20 years, and you're completely, you're not, present, it's got to be culture shock. It's got to be just an overall shock to say, whoa, so much has changed. My goodness. Now, first of all, that's overwhelming, because you haven't been exposed to that, and then say, oh, wow, I'm just going to go get a job, or I'm just going to try to find a place to live, or I'm going to get furniture. So I think, Deacon Ed, to have somebody to talk to. I mean, we look at all of our ministries at Catholic Charities, the case management component or mentor, however you want to term it, is so vital, because if you're coming out and you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't know where to start. But if you have a mentor, if you have a case manager that can help you and say, wow, before, when I was incarcerated, I didn't realize that there was smartphones, just trying to be an extreme example. And now how do these work? And are they, what's the benefit of them? And is there value for me as I move back into society? And, so I think, having that component is such a lifeline and is so necessary, because, again, we don't want people to feel like they're alone. We don't want people to feel like they have no one to turn to, because what we definitely don't want to happen, Deacon Ed, right, is people to recidivate and then say, you know what, there's no hope, so I'm just going to go back to doing what I was doing before.
Yeah, they're like, it's interesting you say that. They're like a deer in the headlights when they get out. They have no clue on what they're supposed to do. They don't even know how to navigate systems and able to get help.
Right.
So a lot of them will violate within the first, week or two, just to get back into a situation where they're comfortable and they know that they'll have food to eat and a place to sleep. But that's not the purpose of our programming. Our programming, my dream is to be able to help a person prepare to get out of prison, and then to hit the ground running and to become productive members of society right away. And, find a parish to belong to or a church to belong to, and, return to a normal life as soon as possible. And that's why I'm so excited about the Threshold Journaling Project that we're starting up.
Oh, boy. And that is kind of a good entryway into what we're going to talk about, Deacon Ed, the Threshold program, because it's something that I think those of you who aren't familiar with it, and our audience will be really impressed, because what it does in essence, and we're going to get into it, but before, because we're going to head to break here in a little bit, Deacon Ed, I want to ask you just real quickly, are there any other opportunities throughout the year for people to help? Like you mentioned Christmas cards that people wrote, you mentioned cookies. Are there other opportunities like that throughout the year? We got about a minute left, and if there is, we want to make sure they know how people can reach you.
Well, I really like what the Sylvania St. Joe's Right to Life committee does. They write cards and letters throughout the whole year.
Awesome.
And I'm able to take those in, and those really inspire people. Occasionally we get feedback from those people also telling us how much that communication means. And every once in a while you find someone that hasn't had a card or a letter for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
They go to the mail call and they're always disappointed. They never get any communication. Some of them have even stopped going to the mail call. And so what they're doing is, so I guess to answer your question, you can always write cards and letters.
Okay.
Just let me know.
All right. And Deacon Ed, how can people reach you either on the phone or email?
Correct.
What's your number?
419-214-4958.
214-4958. And then that's D. Irelan. D. E. Irelan.
Ed.
Yeah, I thought the Deacon was in there. E. Irelan. And it's not Ireland like the country. It's E.
Irelan, no D.
No, at ToledoDiocese.org. All right, Deacon Ed, when we get back from break, we're going to talk and learn about the Threshold program. We'll be right back.
Every day, abortion affects the lives of thousands of women, but for every woman affected, there's a man who has also lost a child. Too often, we as men don't think we can feel hurt or sadness over this loss, but there is help and there is hope. If you or someone you know has experience with abortion, please reach out to the Joseph Ministry at 419-299-6660 or visit CatholicCharitiesNWO.org for more information. God wants you to return to Him and to experience the love and mercy that is waiting as His beloved Son.
Hello and welcome back to Faith Alive. I'm your host, Rodney Schuster, Executive Director for Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Toledo. And as we are in this new year, we got a special guest, Deacon Ed Ireland, who's sharing some of the great blessings that we received as part of the holidays, the Christmas season, and opportunities too. We had, parishes St. Joe Sylvania, St. Rose, St. Joe's Maumee, who help those who are incarcerated by writing them cards, and you can still do that year round. Again, reach out to Deacon Ed if you want to, who receive Christmas cookies, who when they released, they have mentors and they're being helped. So there's great blessings, great opportunities, but please, because of the requirements of any jail or prison, please reach out to Deacon Ed first if you want to help, so that you don't spend effort that you say, oh gosh, I really wanted to help, but you didn't check with Deacon Ed to make sure that something that you want to do, is not rejected by the institution. So again, you can call Deacon Ed Ireland, and Deacon Ed, it's 419-214 and the last four digits.
4958.
4958 or E. Irelan, that's EIRELAN at ToledoDiocese.org. But what we want to get into, Deacon Ed, is this Threshold program that we are looking to expand on, looking to present more to folks that are incarcerated that will help them when they return. So share what the Threshold program is, what we hope to accomplish, and how you think it'll make a difference.
Threshold is a program for people that are getting close to being released. That's the main purpose of the program, although there are a couple of other reasons to take the program, which I'll get into in a few minutes.
Okay.
But Threshold is like you're at a new beginning. Mm-hmm. You're ready to start a new life. And so it represents a person taking that first step over the threshold, and re-entering society. So the program takes people that are within a year, for the most part, within a year of getting out of prison, and it starts to look at some of the issues in their own lives, to have the people take personal stock of what happened to them that led to them going to prison. Okay. And by studying those things that happened to them, by writing them down, and by taking steps to change their lives, they're ready. It makes them more ready to re-enter society as a whole person, and to kind of hit the ground running, so that they don't have a lot of the problems that leads to recidivism and brings them back just because they were unaware of what was going on in society, like we talked about earlier, or because they're unaware of what caused them to have problems in the first place and causes them to go back and do the same thing over and over again that leads to prison.
I like that approach, Deacon Ed, because it really forces you to, I think, as you said, take stock in, what's transpired in your life, what maybe even brought you to the point where you became incarcerated, and say, okay, here's, kind of the how that happened, but, what is it that you want to look at when you do leave? And how can you put pen to paper to kind of like outline, what you're hoping to accomplish in the future?
Yeah, it's a kind of an all-comprehensive type of approach. In a 9-month period, people look at things in their own lives that cause them to go to prison, like what kind of people were I associating with before I came to prison? Am I going back into that same situation? What changes do I need to make in my own life to make myself more productive? What do I have to do to find a job? What do I have to do to write a resume? It just goes through step by step different things that they must do to be successful when they re-enter society. It also looks at things like spirituality. Where am I at as far as God is concerned right now? Do I need to deepen my relationship with God? What does that relationship with God mean to me, and how does that affect my decision making? So there's a very strong spiritual aspect to the program. Other aspects of the program is that as they're going through, they have to do community service. So they have to do like 500 hours of community service, which means a lot of times they're walking around with Windex and a rag because they're cleaning the windows in the prisons, or they're cleaning the counters or the tables, or they're mopping the floors, or they're helping to prepare meals. So that giving back, that idea of service, is ingrained in them while they're still in prison. So that's another aspect of the program. They look at things like victim impact. My crime, how did it affect society? How did it affect the people that I committed the crime against? How did it affect me personally? Am I able to forgive myself? So forgiveness is also a part of the program. So they have a lot of writing that they do. I'll give you an example of how a day, each meeting works. You assign a prisoner to take a word of the day. Okay. So they look up a word, and then they get a definition of the word, and they use that word of the day in a sentence or a couple of sentences, and they use it in a positive way that shows how they're going to improve their lives.
Okay.
For instance, somebody might use the word trun. The word trun means to turn something one way or another. So, if, for instance, they might find a scripture that says, when in trouble, I turn to the Lord.
Wow.
But they may use that in their word of the day by saying, when I am in trouble, I turn to the Lord. And so they take the word of the day and make it into a positive statement, and they say how they're going to use it in their own lives to increase their own spirituality. Also, the people during the word of the day have to pray, gather intentions, and pray for the group. It's a small thing to start a meeting, but it gets them reading the Bible. It increases their spirituality. It makes them pray more, and it also gives them a little bit of public exposure. Like making a presentation to a group of people.
Wow!
So you're helping their the different things they need to know to go back into society and to be
and maybe
successful.
Even giving their new skills and new tools to use when they come out. You listen to Faith Alive, and our guest is Deacon at Irelan, and we're talking about the Threshold program that he is using in our jail and prisons. I know we're right now focusing kind of on a pilot program, if you will, at Toledo Lucas County Correctional, and then we're looking at having it at our other prisons throughout the diocese. And Deacon Ed, I just want to a quick shout out. We had a couple donors and a foundation that came forward to help provide funding for this because, Deacon, just as you're sharing, we all believe this is like a great opportunity to help give people the tools to reconcile whatever issues or things that they have endured. Like you mentioned, people that maybe they hurt themselves, and try to overcome that, and then get to the point when they come out that they say, "All right, I put that past me. Now I have a new beginning."
Yeah, another aspect I think is really important is that as they go through this program, they reestablish family connections.
Yeah.
So they have to get a hold of family members and communicate with them. And if there was a problem before they came into prison, they have to try to rectify that problem and reestablish good relationships. Usually when you come out of prison, if you've been able to do that, those family members are your strongest support. Also, we have a strong mentoring program where we are able to bring mentors in to meet with these people before they get out of prison, so that when they get out, that mentor walks with them, and that makes a big difference when you have someone trying to help you navigate what's new and what's going on in your life after prison. So the mentorship piece is really a strong, needs to be really strong. In fact, the people that are mentors, we require them to go through a state mentoring program. It's a state program that they have, that they've asked us to ask our mentors to go through, and we are going to do that.
I love that, Deacon Ed, because I think one of the things that happens when people are released, returning citizens, they may have burned the bridges to their family members and to friends, and so they might feel isolated. They might feel alone, and to have a mentor to turn to help them, just to say, "Hey, I'm running into this. Can you help?" And just to have somebody to support them. We got about a minute, about 30 seconds left, Deacon Ed. So, anything else you want to highlight on this Threshold program, because it sounds fantastic?
Yeah, I think. Just a couple of things very quickly. We do they do have to establish goals and to say how they'll accomplish those goals as they go through this program. They also have independent study that they have to do, like they have to make a weekly faith service report to tell us what faith activities they've gone through. One of the requirements is you have to attend a service every week.
Okay.
So they report on that, and they have to read scriptures. They report on the scriptures they've read. It's a comprehensive
Beautiful.
program.
Well, Deacon Ed, I'm sorry we're up against it, but I want to definitely have you back on to share as we progress with this Threshold program, as people will graduate, and just the impact it makes on their lives. You've been listening to Faith Alive. Thank you so much, Annunciation Radio, for allowing us to be on these airwaves. Until next week, God bless.
You've been listening to Faith Alive with Rodney Schuster. For more information about Catholic Charities programs and services, visit CatholicCharitiesNWO.org. You can listen to this and other episodes anytime on demand on the Annunciation Radio mobile app and at AnnunciationRadio.com.